Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So today we have another Fog of War puzzle by Megan033. It's actually been, I think, maybe 3 weeks or so since I've done one of their fog puzzles. This is one of the many that's in a series that they've been doing. I think it's like 6 or 7 or 5, maybe something like along those lines of the ones in this specific particular series. There's two more after this one. I wanted to try to get this one done before I do the newer ones, which have been released, I think, in the couple weeks ago, and then maybe last week, something along those lines. But anyway, it's been too long, so I wanted to get back in and start solving some more of these great puzzles. So anyway, let's take a look at our rules and make sure we're recording, which we are, which is always a positive, and then see what we can get figured out. So we have normal Sudoku apply, like normal. We have every row, every column, and every 3x3 box contains the digits 1 through 9 once each. Now, there is one and only one green German whisper line, along which adjacent digits must have a difference of at least 5. So what that means is we know this whisper line does something. We don't know exactly what it does in the fog, but we do know that there's only one of them, and that the digits on the line must differ by 5. So these two, since we know that they are on a German whisper, this digit and this digit must differ by 5, at least 5. Then we have digits in a cage do not repeat, some of the clue in the top left corner. So here we have a cage that's visible through the fog. And this one, these two digits, whatever they may be, must add to 10. Then we have a black dot between cells, indicates cells values with a 2-to-1 ratio. A white dot between cells indicates cells with consecutive values. These are Kropki dots. We don't see any here, so let's just assume that there's some couple of them right here, maybe. Whatever, if there's a white dot in the spot between the two, these two are consecutive, i.e. they are one apart from each other. In the same example, if there was a dot here that was black, these two digits would be in a 2-to-1 ratio. So whatever this digit is, this one is double or half of that other value. And then our final rule, which we have already see here, is that the grid is partially covered with fog. So correctly placed digits will clear the fog around that cell. Again, my typical determination is that if we somehow miraculously figured out what this digit was right here, all of this fog would disappear, and then hopefully we would have more information, more clues that would pop up, and then we could continue our solve. So that's it. As usual, the link is in the description below, and let's just jump into this thing and have some fun, because we know it's going to be fun. And I think the first place, obviously, to start is going to be where we don't have fog. Imagine that, right? And more specifically, when I was mentioning this 8 clue. Now, there's only a couple of ways. I was mentioning the German whisper within the 8 clue. I didn't specifically note on the 8 clue itself. I was trying to save that for the solve. But we know there's only a couple of ways that we can make an 8 cell, or a value of 8 killer cage, which is there's 7, 1, 6, 2, and 5, 3. Well, only one of those 3 examples actually creates a valid digit for this cage, because the cage also must go by our German whisper. So this must be a 7, 1 cage. Now, what does that do for us? Can we piggyback off that into our 10 cage, or do we need to look more at what our German whisper does? Because the 1 itself is, I'm not going to say useless, but it's the least helpful as to where it may exist. Because if this is a 1 and this is a 7, this could be essentially anything. Well, we know it couldn't be a 6, but it could be 8 or 9. Now, on the other hand, if this was the 1 here and this forced this to be to 7, we would know that this digit right here would have to be a 2, because the 7 can only pair up with 1s and 2s. None of the other digits actually work with it. But I don't know that we can say that. Now, the 10 cell, let's take a look what the options are here, because we have reduced these options. Because we can't have a 1 or a 7, so we can't have a 9, 1 or a 7, 3. So we could have an 8, 2, or we could have a 6-4, and we're going to find out here now that we cannot have a 6-4 because one of our wonderful parts of a German whisper is that there are two digits which are very highly restricted as to what they can be. This, if it was and those two digits are 4 and 6, obviously. If this was a 4, we would know both of these digits would have to be 9s. That would break the puzzle. If this was a 6, both of these digits would have to be 1s. That would break the puzzle. So this cannot be 4 or 6. So it's looking like a 2-8 pair. Again, we couldn't do 9-1. We couldn't do 7-3, and we just determined 6-4 wouldn't work. So the only thing that's left is 2-8. Now that we have a 2-8 pair here, we were just saying that if this was a 7 clue, this would have to be 1 and 2. That breaks. This has to be the 1. This has to be 7. Now, interestingly, I sort of assumed that this would actually connect here instead of these being the endpoints. So always a good thing not to assume anything, because we all know what that does. It makes an A out of you and me. So we know this is a 1, and again we said we had the options that we said could go up here, or if this was a 1, this would be either well, now that we actually don't know that, because I did misspeak, I think, when I said did I? Yeah, I think I said that we couldn't have, or did I say that? Maybe I didn't. Interesting. I can't quite recall, to be honest with you, if I had mentioned anything about a 6 not being able to fit in this type of situation. I may have or may not have. I don't know. We'll have to go check the replay vault later on. But the point is, this can be multiple things now, or it could have been multiple things, but it cannot anymore. We know it has to be at least 5 away from 1, so 6 will work because this is an endpoint, and it can't be 7 or 8, so the other option is 9. I do believe, I think I had ruled out 6 previously, and I was erroneously did so, but I didn't use that information to do anything, so it didn't actually hurt us here. Anyway, the point now is that this has to be a 1 or a 2, because it's the only digits that can possibly be 5 away from a 7. Now, the question was going to be, can we determine what this guy is going to be? Whether this can be the high digit or the low digit. If this is, well, we know we have 2 high digits already. And so I think we maybe not. And this would be a 3rd high digit if this was the high digit we use, which would force this to be the final high digit, which does work. Now, if the low side, we don't have as much of a restriction there. So I think we might need to start scooting over into this area that we just uncovered to try to get some more information. And I mean, one thing we know is we can't have a 1-2 on this black Kropki. I'm still kind of focusing back on this one. That's why I'm not fully moving over here yet, as if there's anything we can really determine over here. Because if this was an 8, this is the other, well, it couldn't be a 6. If this is an 8, this ends up being a 9. This ends up having to be the 6. But this can still be 3 or a 4 as the low digit, so we can't quite determine it. Now, the one thing we can kind of say is that there must be a 5 in one of these two, because we can't ever put a 5 on a German whisper, but it doesn't do much good for us because we can't quite remove either one of those options just yet. So I think I do need to start moving over here. And again, we said it can't be a 1-2 pair. Now, it could be a 2-4 pair, or a 4-8 pair, or a 3-6 pair. But this can't be 2, and this can't be 8, so that's going to probably start reducing what these can be. This can't be a 4, because if you put a 4 in here, you have nothing to pair it with. So this 4 here can go with the 2 or the 8, or it could just be a 3-6 pair. Now, can this be, well, it can be a 2, can't it? Because if this was a 2, we'd be able to put a, oh, that doesn't work, actually. So we can go down the line in terms of our German whispers. I didn't actually even, it kind of escaped me for some reason. I didn't look forward to that point, but we know that this German whisper comes down to this point. We know this is a low digit, so this has to be a high digit. So this is either, well, it can't be a 6, so it has to be a 7, 8, or a 9, which removes the possibility of 2s and 3s out here, which means this can't ever be a 6. Now, this grouping, does it do anything for us? Let's think about it. Because if this is a 6, this has to be a 7. This is an 8, this is either a 7 or a 9, so I think we can't ever, we can't ever put an 8 in here. But what else can we say here? Because if this is a 7, it has to go with one of whatever this ends up being, 1 or 2, and it's going to have to go with another 1 or 2, and then it's going to have to get out of the region. I guess it doesn't have to do that, right? Because it could go and then cut back up and have another higher digit. Okay. But we don't know where this goes after it hits this point. It could go in multiple locations. In fact, it can go in any of these locations, I believe. Okay, so we're gonna have to figure out what the heck we can do with this. Now, this 14 cage doesn't do a whole lot for us, because we know it's going to extend down to here, but it has to also continue at least one more place, because the 3 or the 4, obviously you can't put a 10 with it, but again, we can't see anything, so this thing could do a lot of different things, which we don't know of at the moment. So what is it that we can look at here? Is it some semblance of highs and lows? Or is it something else? So if this is an 8, this is forced to be a 3, right? Because we couldn't do 1 or the 2, which would have to go here. So this would have to be a 3. Now we know this would have to be a 9. As we'd kind of theorized previously, this would end up being a 6. Now, if it's a 2, though, this would have to be, I think we'd have to have a 9 in one of these two, I think is what's going on here. So I probably should have gone into this and started looking what our possibilities were earlier, but that's okay. Sometimes you gotta get stuck to go look somewhere else. So if this was a 2, this would have to be from 7, 8, or 9. Well, we know it can't be 7. We know it couldn't be 8 because the 8 is in here, so this would have to be 9. So no matter what happens, we have a 9 in one of these, which means this has to be a 6, which is correct. Now, if we have to have, well, let me finish doing this first before I come over here, because I don't want to miss putting a mark in and then forgetting that I did that and come back to a couple of options sitting here and when we actually had more than that. So we know if this is an 8, this goes down to 3, then up to 9. If it's a 2, it goes up to 9, and then it has to come back down to either 3 or 4, I think is what ends up happening. And I'm going to mark the 9 as well. Now we can move over and say this has to be a 7. And we do get a little bit more information that we can work with. So we know that this, again, we have to have 1s and 2s on both sides of the 7. This has to be from 1 or 2. There's a 2 looking at this. This is 1 and this is 2. Now we can also see a little bit of what this 14 cage is starting to do. But I don't think it's currently getting us a good view of what we need. What about this 14 cage? Problem is there's still two ways to make 14. 9, 5, and 8, 6. No, it can't be 8, 6. Okay, there we go. It's amazing how sometimes just putting in digits can make you see things. I don't know. I'm sure tons of people are a heck of a lot better at me than this at seeing these things without actually doing that. But for me, it's like a godsend practically. This can't be an 8, 6. So it is a 5, 9, and we've got the 9 again looking over here. So this is our 5, and this is our 9. And now we get a little bit more of German Whisper. So we know this has to be a high digit. It can't be 6 because both of these would have to be 1. It could be, it can't be 7 because this would have to be 1 or 2. 1 and 2 are already taken. This can't be 9, so this must be an 8. Now we know that this is a lowish digit. It can't be 1 or 2. It can't be 4 because 4 is not 5 away from 8. So this actually ends up being 3, which is going to put our 4 and 8 into our Kropki here. Now we're moving, or schmoving, however you want to look at it. We have to have a 3 in this region, so that's the 3, and then we have to finish with the 6. Now we can continue. I think, well, I mean, we can put in the digits for this 8 cell because we can't do 7, 1 or 5, 3. So the only thing that could fit in a 2 cell 8, therefore, is a 2, 6. I'm sure that will come back to help us later. Now this digit here must be from either 8 or 9 because it has to be 5 away from 3, but it can't be 8, so it's 9. This one has to come back down to earth, but it can be essentially anything. It could be 1, 2, 3, or 4, because this could be 4, because these could both be 9s. This has to be a high digit. I think we're going to see the same thing. It could be anything at this stage. Then we come back down to a low digit, which is either 1, 3, or 4. Again, all of those are still useful, but we're going to come back even further and know that we still have to get to a high digit here, which can't be 6 or 7 or 8. So this is 9, and it's going to clear up some fog for us. And it's also going to show us some more low digits. So we get 1, 3, and 4 again here. And we're going to see a tiny bit of a German Whisper here, but I don't know that we can figure out whether it's high or low at this point. Now, is there anything up here I can do that might help out? Because we know there's only 2 digits left here. They are 5 and 7. So yes, we can. We can put the 5 in here, and we can put the 7 in here. And that's going to mean this is from, well, it's either 3, 4, or 9. It's only 3 digits we don't have set, and it can't be 3 or 9, so it must be 4. Therefore, this is not 4. And we get a 3-9 pair going on over there. And while we're up in this, let's put all of our options in so that when we get to the point where we can solve these things later, it'll be there waiting for us. This is 1, 5, or 8. These are 2, 4, and 6. Again, none of that is helping us currently, but it's there when we need it. The same could be said for this column here, because we can put 4, 5, and 8 in here. This one can't ever be a 5 because we know it's on a German Whisper. Even though we can't see this cell, we know this one comes in this way. Now, this one, I guess we could continue on our line, and we can then come back and maybe look at this black Kropki to see if anything happens there, if this doesn't take us anywhere. But we have to go back up to another high digit, and that is going to, well, there's nothing at all removing any possibilities here. So this is from 6, 7, 8, or 9. And maybe we do have to go over here and see what the possibilities are. Because we know 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8 are all the possibilities. This can't be 2, 4, or 8, which severely limits what this can be. Now it can't be 8, it can't be 4, and it can't be 1. And this can't be 6 either because of that 6 there. So this can't be a 3. So we'd end up actually having a 1, 3, 4 triple here, which is quite interesting, which is going to put 5 and 7 into these two spaces. Now that might give us something here with this 14 cage. Because if we were to put a 5 with the 4, that would equal 9. We would need 5 more. We'd have to put a 5 here again, and we'd break the puzzle. So this has to be 7 and 5. And now that we know that these equal 11, this has to be 3. And that will reduce some of our options around here. Take them on as I get them. Now, we have not quite gotten to figure out what these guys are. So I can't say if this is high or low just yet. So is there anything that cleared that we could start? Maybe we can start to pare down what this could be. Because the only digits that are left in this column are 1, 3, 6, and 9. Now this can never be 6. First off, because this is a 4 or an 8. But also because we would end up having 2 1s that would have to go like this, and they would conflict with each other, let alone this one up here. If this is a 3, these could be an 8-9 pair, so that seems to work. If this is a 9, this would have to be that 4. This would have to be a low digit of 2, actually, would be the only possibility, I think. Because we already have 1 and 3, and we already said this would be 4 in that instance. We're probably going to have to put these in, so I might as well just do that. If this is a 3, this is going to have to be a 9, because that forces this to be an 8. If this is the 9, this is a 4, this has to be a 2. If this is a 1, this is an 8. This could be 6 or 9, because it can't be the 7 or the 8. Okay, that didn't seem to get us anywhere either. We know one of these is a 4, but is that useful? It means that one of these is a 9, I guess. But they're not pointing at anything. So like if we knew that one of these had to be 9, there was some kind of 9 possibility up here, we would have been able to reduce that, but we cannot do so. So we must have something that I haven't looked at yet. I mean, this white Kropki dot doesn't seem to have a ton of restrictions on it just yet. So maybe there was something we can do on these. I want to look at this for just a second more. This could be a 1-2 pair. I don't see anything that would rule that out. Clearly it can't be 2-3 or 3-4. It can't be 4-5. It could be from anything from 6, 7, 8, and 9. So yeah, I don't quite see anything there that we can do. Now the other things we could look at would be basic Sudoku, or see if we can figure anything out with what's going on here. Let's take a quick look at Sudoku, because we do have some crossing paths for some digits here. I don't know if it's going to be strong enough for us, though, to do much. Let's just take a quick look so we don't miss anything obvious. First off, not seeing anything coming through here. Okay, that doesn't seem to have done us much good, or any good, to be honest with you. So let's think about what we have available to us. This can't be a 4, and I should have seen that earlier. Because if this is a 4, this has to be a 9, and then something out here has to be a 9. And that don't work. So this is an 8. So that was the obviousness that I just didn't quite see. Luckily, it didn't take me too long to see it, as I had some other stuff going on. So this is an 8. This obviously can't be a 9 anymore. So we get a 1-3 pair, and these are going to be, what? 6 and 9. This digit, I don't think can ever be a 4. Because if it is, we have 17 left over in this cage. The only way to make 7 is 9, 8. We can't do that, so this has to be 5. Now, this can't be 6 because of that, so this is our 9 and our 6. This one right here cannot be that 2. Oh, and we got the 6 here already, so let's put the 9 in. So that was very helpful. Just something I did not see. This has to be a 4 by basic Sudoku. And since we know what these currently equal, which is 14, this must be a 7. It does clear out a little bit more information. This guy here must be a low digit, either 1, 2, or 3. This has to be a high digit, and it can't be 6, 8, or 9, so it is 7. And then we can get rid of our 7s up here for now. And we know that this is again a low digit, it's either 1 or 2, because it can't be any higher than that, so this also can't be a 3. And this one as well is from 1, 2, or 3. Now, let's continue on our German whisper here and see if we can find anything else out. I don't know that we can determine these guys quite yet until we get a little bit more information about what's going on behind the curtain here. But we do know these are from 1, 2, 3, or 4. Well, this can't be 4 because these both have to be 9s. So this has to be from 6 or 8. Those are the only options. It can't be 7 or 9. Now, if it was 6, does that break anything? I don't think it does. But we know this has to be a low digit. It's going to be 1, 2, well, just 1 or 2. Because this is either 6 or 8. We can't go up to a 4 because this can't be a 9. And we have a 3 sitting here looking at us. Okay. Now we don't know where this German whisper goes, if it goes up here or if it goes over here. And that would be important to know because it'll determine what these guys end up being, what position along the German whisper they are. So let's again do a little search to see where the next step is going to be. This is a 1, this could still be a 2, and that could be a 3. That would all work out. Again, we know one of these has to be a 2, but that doesn't seem to give us much information. We know this is a 1, 2, 3 triple, and actually a quad if you add the 4 in there. Does that tell us anything about these guys? Because we know these have to be from 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We know these are not 9. This is not 6. This is not 7. Well, it means that one of these two is 7. But, again, I don't think that does a whole lot there. All right. Got to see what it is that I'm not quite seeing. So I don't think we really determined much by putting those digits in there. So let's look at this for a second. If this, I mean, well, I guess we can't see, we know that it doesn't come down here because you can't see a little bit of German whisper. So it either comes up here and then does this, or it comes up here and does this. Those are the options. Again, though, I think if we were to say, or if we were to look at both options, it would still leave, because if let's say it does this, low, high, low, high, low. But if it does this, we got low, high, so that we can't quite make that determination yet. Is there anything further we can do with this guy now that we actually have a couple of digits in here? Again, we already, well, we can't make this a 1, 2 anymore. Okay, so that was one of the options. It is not that anymore. So if this can't be a 1, 2, it can't be a 2, 3, can't be a 3, 4, can't be a 4, 5, can't be a 5, 6. It must be from 6, 7, 8, or 9. Now we can determine where this German whisper goes, because it cannot any longer do this. If it did, this would be low, this would be high, this would have to be back to low. That doesn't work. So the German whisper must continue to here, which means this is a low digit, this is a high digit. That's an 8, that's a 2. And then we go down to 3 and up to 9. And we should be able to do some finagling here to kind of open up the rest of this puzzle and then kind of just finish it off. So let's figure it out. This can't be a 6. What does that tell us? Anything? This could be a 6, 7. It could be a 7, 8. It could be a 9, 8. All are possible options, but let's look at this guy. It has to be from 1 or 2. Okay, that's what it's going to do, because we can't do 3 or 4, and it has to be a low. So we have a 1, 2 pair. So this forces this to be a 6, this to be a 3. These can't be 3s. It's a 1, 4 pair, which means this here is 2, this is 3, this is 1, this is 2, and it's kind of opening things up quite nicely. This can no longer be a 6 because of the 2. And I'm going to come back to this in a second. I want to see if there's anything more I can do up here. That 6 gives me an 8. These can't be 8s. This is then a 9. This is not 8 or 9. All right. Now we have a 2 up here. We could have used that. This is 1. This is 3. That clears all of our fog on this side of the board. Let's just fill in the rest of the information that we can. Because if we can, why not do it? That can't be a 2 anymore. And then, what are these 2 digits? We need a 2 and a 4. This can't be a 2, so it's 4 and 2. Yep, and that gives us our 1 and our 4. That works perfectly fine with this guy. Did we open anything else up? Don't think so. Anything in this region that we can do before we jump over here? We need a 5. It could go in either one of these. That's not useful. And then it's 6, 7, 8, and 9. So, well, actually, we can say that this is a 6, 9 pair. Because they can't go in either. Oh, no, we can't say that. Sorry, there's a 6 here. I didn't even see that. Get rid of the 6 completely. This can't be a 7. Because it wouldn't have anything to work with. So this is 8. Get rid of this 8. And I think we are kind of on the point now where we might need to jump over to their side. So let's put 5, 7, 9 in here. This can't be 9. Oh, this can't be 9 either. So actually we just get the 9. And that's going to give us a 6, which is going to give us a 4. Okay, that did clear up quite a bit more than I thought it might. This can't be 2. This can't be 6. This can't be 1. All just tidying up. That 7 gives us the 5 and the 7. Therefore, this is a 7. This is not a 7. So we end up with a 5-6 pair looking across. Now we can look at this and try to figure out our 13 cage. So we have to have 2, 5, and 8. That's not 2. So what can these guys be? This can't ever be an 8, can it? Because what we're left with would be 5. You can't combine any of these two to be 5. So this is a 5. Therefore, these are not 5. That 5 in the cage forces this to be a 6. That is now an 11, so this has to be the 2, and this has to be the 8. This can't be 2 or 6. It's 4, 6, 2. This is therefore an 8 by Sudoku. These are not. The 1 and the 5 is not quite determined just yet, but I think what we're at is just finalizing Sudoku, so let's get into that. The 1s aren't quite there. The 2s are done. The 3s are down to an X-wing. In fact, what are these two digits? Just looking at this row, and we could probably do the same over here. There's probably something just obviously given here. There is. We need to have a 3 and a 7 here. So this is 3 and this is 7, which is going to give us this 3. So we have no 3s and corners today, but that's okay. What are these two digits? We have to have 4 and 9. So this is the 9. This is the 4. This is a given digit of something, 4. This has to be from 1 or 5 because of the column. There's a 5 here. So let's put our 1 and settle these guys. These have to be from, again, 5 and 8. We've got 5s and 8s looking at it. So this is 5, this is 8, and this is going to finish everything off. This has to be 1. This has to be 4, and this has to be 6. There we go. You saw the puzzle. Solution is correct. 3704, not too bad on that one. There's a couple little spots where I didn't see something that was fairly obvious, but great puzzle. Hope you all enjoyed it. I've got to run and pick up this phone call, so it's good timing. I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks.